the deals that are the most combative internally, the least obvious, have the greatest potential to generate the biggest possible return. Welcome to another Shark Tank React with yours truly, Peter Harris. Super excited for this one. Today, we're going to jump in and watch the Sharks evaluate the company Toor. Let's see what they have to say.
Hello, Sharks. My name is Junior, and I'm from the Big D, Dallas, Texas.
What?
Yeah. I'm here seeking $500,000 in exchange for 10% equity stake in my business, Toor. As you know, buying a home should be fun and exciting, especially for touring with Barbara. But for the rest of us, not so much. It's time-consuming and frustrating. Imagine you're driving down the street, trying to look for that perfect property, and you spot one. Now what? You can call an agent and wait days for an appointment, or even worse, wait weeks for an open house. Wouldn't it be great if you could tour that property right there on the spot? Well, thanks to me, you can. I'd like to introduce you to Toor, the world's smartest lockbox. Toor is the first lockbox that allows buyers and sellers to access the lockbox with or without an agent.
Wow.
Barbara, I know you've opened some doors in your career. I'd love some help.
Sure.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
So imagine Barbara's driving down the street and she sees a property for sale. She pulls it up on the Toor app. She immediately sends a request. The seller approves her showing, and immediately Barbara is able to tour the property. So Barbara, simply walk up to the box, press the power button until you see that color wheel. Okay, now simply press open on the app.
Okay, easy enough.
There you go.
That's
Now the
the
lockbox
coolest
opens
part.
up. Okay.
That's
She'll
the
grab the
coolest
keys,
part.
tour the property on her own or with a realtor.
I feel like a winner.
Now, once you're done, put the keys back in the lockbox
Okie dokie.
and simply press close on the app. There you go. Give it a second, and it'll close right up. The seller gets a notification saying Barbara's completed her tour, and now Barbara can leave feedback and be on her way. Thank you so much.
Nice handshake.
Thank you.
Nice suit.
Thank you. So, Sharks, which one of you guys?
Someone's in love. Okay, just my quick impression on this company. One, like, how often is this really a big pain point? I don't know, maybe there's been a handful of times in my life where, like, I've wanted to go look at a house, but I don't know. If I'm not really in the market, I just think this opens you up to, like, a ton of liability issues, right? Like, if you make it, like, really easy for anybody to stop by and see your house, you're gonna have a lot of people, like, walking through your house that are not interested. At least if they come with a realtor, you know they have true intent to buy. So I think that's a risk. And then it's like, well, they can send you with a realtor, but then if they're gonna send you with a realtor, then, like, what's the value add here? So I'm just kind of struggling to see, like, is this really solving a huge pain point or not? I don't know. What do you think? Drop down to the comments. Tell me if I'm totally crazy or if you have a different perspective. Love to hear what you think.
One of you guys wants to join me in opening this door to opportunity?
Junior, while it's fresh on my mind,
Yes.
what happens if the person who just gave the tour does not redeposit the key but closes it anyway?
If that key is removed for a set period of time that you, the seller, sets, you get a notification if that key is not put back.
But if it were my home, I'm not sure I would want somebody to go in unescorted.
Great question. So the beauty of our product is that you, the seller, you get to determine what type of showing you want in your house. So if you want an agent present, you simply require an agent present.
That's very cool, because normally you have to wait, you have to find
Absolutely.
somebody, they have to go get a key
You
back
got
at
it.
the office, etc.
You got it. You got it.
Junior, numbers. How much have you sold?
Yeah, so zero.
Zero?
Zero
You're
sales.
killing me.
It's because we're brand new. But fortunately, we had
Do you
a...
want your punishment now or
No,
later?
later. Wait, hear me out. So fortunately, we had a successful Kickstarter campaign. We actually sold over 800 boxes, raising over $100,000. So we have over $100,000 in pre-sales.
How much are you selling them for?
So the lockbox itself is $199.
What does it cost you to make them?
$50 and then $75 delivered to the customer.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So cost to build is $50, another $25 to ship, selling them for $200. So, like, cost of goods sold is roughly, 25%, which is, in my mind, like the bare minimum of where you need to be for a consumer product. Now, it's definitely a consumer product, right? It's just that the person selling the house, and in some cases the realtor, they're going to buy these things. So yeah, like $200 price point is kind of on the upper end, because you could also just have like a smart lock on your door for about $200. And in fact, today, they're even cheaper, but back when this was filmed, they're a little bit more. So margins and price point actually feel pretty solid in this case.
Very curious what your background is.
I'm a real estate
You
broker.
sound like a real estate
Sure does. I flipped my first house when I was 18 years old. When I was at college at Texas Tech, I was president of the real estate organization.
Were you really?
Why is it that you like real estate so much?
Great question. So my parents are from Haiti. They worked hard to put me in a very nice private school. All my best friends lived in literally the nicest, Mark Cuban's neighborhood to be exact. Ever since I saw these big houses, I fell in love with real estate.
Okay, Junior, defend your $5 million.
Before you get to that,
let me roll off my lips. $5 million.
how much money have you invested
I'm
in
not
this,
going to
Junior?
stop. I don't know why it
Kevin,
isn't
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Tell me why it's worth $5 million.
Here's how we make money. We charge a monitoring fee for these lockboxes.
How much is the monthly?
$100 a month. It's a flat.
Oh, that's
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Oh, guys, Barbara, please educate these guys on how much realtors spend every month,
It
guys.
strikes me as a lot of money.
Look, last Saturday I visited 15 homes in a day, each with an electronic lockbox
Right.
on it. The agents just held their phone up,
That's it.
Bluetooth, they
You
get
got
in.
it.
So these devices exist
Yeah,
already.
but-
So you have one incremental change on that, which is an interface where a user can say, yes, I'll let people in when there isn't an agent there. That's the only thing that you're doing that's different.
No. But
Tell me what's different.
here's what you
I
had
mean, I
to-
literally
Whoa, whoa,
use this
whoa,
product
give it a chance,
like
had to
Calvin.
last
wait.
week.
Calm
You had to
down.
wait on that agent to let you in, right?
Yeah,
And you
so,
had.
so the only thing you have different is the interface
That's
that
a
lets the
big
seller
difference.
say,
No.
go ahead and open it up.
Chris, imagine.
Well, it's a big
Chris,
difference,
all
but it's
right,
not
calm
necessarily
down, calm down.
defensible.
Imagine
Let
if
him
you could
talk.
see 5 properties in one day on your own, as opposed to calling your agent. The agent calls the showing company. The showing company calls the listing agent. The listing agent calls the seller. The seller confirms it.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. $100 does feel like a lot. I mean, yeah, it's a monitoring fee, but like, really, is it that hard to do? Like, I mean, think about like all the different security systems you can sign up for these days that are like 10, 20 bucks a month, maybe like 50. So I don't know. 100 does feel aggressive. And look, the reality is he's not charging anything yet. They haven't generated a single dollar in revenue. So he doesn't know if he's going to be able to charge 100. And I think that's what everybody's thinking is like, phew, good luck. You're not going to get 100 a month on top of a $200 device. So that's an issue. How do you justify this $5 million valuation? So it is a $5 million post-money valuation. So really he's saying that today, right now, he believes the company is worth $4.5 million. He's got $800,000 in pre-orders. Now, generally for high growth consumer products businesses, you're looking at like 3 to 5x revenue. So this is definitely on the upper end of that. And he really can't count the $800,000 as true revenue yet because he hasn't delivered the product yet. He's got to actually like go and buy it, manufacture it, ship it. I would be shocked too if he's able to buy these things, fully manufacture them and ship them for $75 in total for his Kickstarter campaign. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like enough scale yet. But look, I don't know. $4.5 million on $800,000 of pre-orders. That doesn't feel like massively crazy to me. It does feel a little aggressive. If what he's trying to do is build something really, really big here, then, giving up like 10% for $500,000, I don't know. It feels like if you have confidence in him and the deal and you're excited about it, you could easily get there on that valuation.
Nobody
huge
hates wasting
process.
time more than I do. But why can't the company that already has massive market share do exactly this?
So Chris is making a really good point, and this is a point that you see a lot when evaluating startups, which is if you have an incumbent that already has all of the customers and you come on the scene and you start selling a competing product that has some unique features that frankly aren't that technologically difficult to build, why doesn't the incumbent just offer this? Like one of the classic examples of this is there used to be this company called Pebble. In fact, I had one. I had one of the Pebbles. It was one of the very first smartwatches, and it was really, really cool. It had an e-inks display. The battery lasted like a week. I could control my music and read my text messages and respond, all kinds of cool stuff. Well, as you can probably guess, they didn't survive because Apple launched the Apple Watch, and everybody bought the Apple Watch because they already had the smartphone and the Mac and the everything else, right? And so it's a similar type thing here. It's like, if you can't really like build something that's truly defensible, then what keeps the incumbents from coming in and just eating your lunch and adding in some unique tech? Let's see how he responds.
If you look at the incumbents in our industry, They're old, they're dated, their technology's old. They have no platform. They're so disconnected from realtors today. Anyone in the real
You
estate...
can't convince me that somebody who actually has a smart lockbox operated by Bluetooth is old and disconnected. I mean, it's like 2-year-old technology.
But there's way... Our platform is more than just a lockbox.
Literally, the verification part of what you're doing is the easiest part.
So what he's saying is like the hardware is hard and hardware is hard, right? And so the software piece is the easiest part because honestly, I actually don't know if I fully agree with that. I mean, I think verification, like building a software layer that allows the person that wants to view the house to contact the owner and say, hey, can I look at it? Like, that's not hard. But actually, like, verifying the identity of the person that's going to enter your house, that is actually pretty hard. And I think it's actually something that would be pretty crucial to ensure that people don't come in and, like, ransack your home, steal a bunch of stuff, whatever, right? Like, what stops them from creating a fake account and getting on and robbing you, right? So that part, I don't know if I agree with Chris. I think that part is actually challenging. It's also, though, not clear to me that he's figured that out. So that's a whole other thing. I'll also mention that I have real concerns about this from like an education perspective. Like if I'm driving down the road, they're going to have to put up a sign or something that says, hey, you can check out this house without a realtor, which is kind of like a big sign that says, hey, come please rob us. We're not home right now, right? And so like I got to be educated, and then I got to go and I got to download yet another app, and I got to figure out how to use the app, and I got to know where to push the... I mean, there's just like all of these steps around educating the customer that it exists, how to use it, all of those things that kind of makes me a little nervous and skeptical that this would really work in the real world.
So what is, would you say, your secret sauce? I don't know if you have any IP on this or...
We do,
or
we
you
do.
What is
We're
that?
patent pending the ability to open and close the lockbox mechanically without physically closing, which enables our remote opening and closing.
Then no one else can do that.
You got it.
What?
Correct.
No, that technology exists
No,
today.
not on a lockbox. Absolutely not. Where have you
You're
seen a
absolutely kidding
There
me.
is not a single lockbox out there that can close on its own.
Look, that literally...
Okay, so that may be true, but does it have to close on its own? Can't you just like put the key in and close it and then it just recognizes that now it's closed? I'm not sure why like that IP is actually that defensible or that necessary. I kind of agree with Chris on this one.
I'm glad you like to
I'm
quote
not so
Dan
arrogant.
Rather.
I just know this space, and I'm sitting here watching
fair.
somebody tell us that the state of technology is what it is.
So what lockbox can close on its own?
So let me see
you
if I get this. Hold on. Let me see if I get this. And where Chris is having this disconnect.
Chris.
When Chris went to look at 15 homes, how did you schedule those 15?
We had an agent take us to half of them. I saw half.
No,
of
that's
my
not what
own.
I asked. That's not what I asked. How did you schedule them? You made a plan to go see 15 homes in
Yeah.
the development. Some of us grew up when we dreamed and inspired to buy a house.
geez.
We
Should we
drive
get the violin music out?
Listen.
Junior, you've got the sharks arguing about your business model.
Beautiful.
Now we happen to have Barbara,
Like we all know it
Miss
better.
Real Estate here.
I just gotta stop and just talk about what Lori just said. Kevin's like, everyone's fighting it, and she's like we know it any better. Man, if I could just say how many times I've met with VCs, and frankly, like myself included, that like think they know the business better than the entrepreneur that's like living, breathing it day in, day out. It's just nuts, the level of arrogance sometimes that investors have. And I have to check myself a lot of the times that I'm not quite as smart as I think I am. Like I haven't thought of every endpoint to the same degree as the person who is literally dedicating their life to making this thing happen. So anyways, I just wanted to pause and kind of acknowledge the intellectual and emotional intelligence that Lori just demonstrated right there, because you don't see it very often on Shark Tank.
I'm going to give this guy $500,000.
It's a tough call. He's entirely right. It clearly answers a need, and you're not going to get any innovation out of the old guys in the industry. They would have invented it a long time ago. They're asleep at the wheel. They don't want the change because they own the market.
Right.
Secondly, you are probably one of the best salespeople I've ever seen in my life.
Told you she's
I mean,
in love.
not only do you know your stuff, you kind of leveled the playing field with this Daddy Warbucks at the end, wearing the fake cowboy shirt.
So maybe this is a total aside, but the story behind his like cowboy shirt thing is like he like picked one up in like some gift shop somewhere because he didn't have a change of clothes. And he showed up to this meeting with the entrepreneur, and they like really liked it and they thought it was cool. And then he like met up with them again, and they're like, where's the cowboy shirt? And he was like, oh, well, it's just kind of a one-off thing. And they're like, oh, we thought that was like your thing. It was really cool. So then he was like, all right, maybe that will be my thing. And now like that's all he owns and that's all he wears is his like cowboy shirts. It's like his thing. It was kind of funny.
I like when people create better mousetraps. And this is a better mousetrap, obviously, for your application. But my problem here today is just that it's really, really early. So because you're not ready yet, I'm out.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Junior, everybody
He's
agrees
such a
you're a great
class act,
salesman.
this guy.
So
Thank you,
the
Kevin.
problem is you blew it by asking for $500,000 in a prototype stage. It's too much risk. However, I'd like to be invested in a damn good sales guy. I'm going to structure a deal this way. I'll give you the $500,000 in two components. A Hunsky, $100,000, and I get the 10% equity for that. Then I loan you $400,000. I'm going to charge you 18% for that, which is what you would pay in the market. Would you like to take that offer? Does that make sense to you?
I'd like to consider the offer.
So he's now offering him a $900,000 pre-money on his business, and then a loan at 18%. Now he's saying that that's what like market rates would be with a personal guarantee. That's probably true, but like in most cases, most banks just won't lend to him. So really, this is like he maxes out all his credit cards and is paying like 18 to 20%, right? That's probably kind of his alternative. Let's see what he says.
One shark is out. Junior has one offer on the table from Kevin, $500,000 for a 10% stake, but $400,000 of it as a loan at 18% interest for his smart lockbox company, Toor.
Would you like to take that offer? Does that make sense to you?
I'd like to consider the offer. I'd like to hear from my guys on the end here.
Junior, I'll save some time. If I knew the real estate business at all,
Right.
I would do something with you. I just don't see a path where I can say, I can help you get from here to here. As much as I hate to say it, I'm out.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
So,
Junior,
Barbara, my dear.
I'd like to join Kevin on his offer, but I need to have a contingency because it's enormously high risk.
Okay.
It's contingent that we can sell it to a giant chain to buy a ton of these lockboxes.
And we'll both help you do that.
It's nothing but calling all the heads of these firms, all right? It's allowing you to make your sales presentation.
You're the best salesman we've ever met.
So this is an interesting thing. She's basically saying, we'll do the deal, but only if we can ensure that like a big real estate brokerage will come in and buy a whole bunch of these things. I think she recognizes here that he's a great entrepreneur and that he's a great salesman, but being a great salesman does not necessarily mean that you're going to be really good at selling it from consumer to consumer to consumer, right? Like mass market. And so really the way to do this is not sell it B2C, business to consumer, but to sell it B2B, business to business, and go sell it to the large real estate brokerages. And that's ultimately how you're going to be able to build an interesting business here. And frankly, I think she's right. Your average consumer who's going to sell their home may be interested in buying it, but the cost to find them, get it in front of them, convince them to buy it is expensive. It's just much higher than selling it to a real estate brokerage where they're going to buy it, they're going to use it. As soon as the house sells, they're going to attach it to another house and be able to get a lot of value out of that $200 upfront fee. Whereas a normal homeowner is kind of like a one-time thing. So I think this is a smart approach that really aligns his best attributes and capabilities with the business model that's probably going to be the most successful.
Yeah.
We'll just get the door open
I
for
still
you.
haven't had a chance to go out.
And you're not. Let's save the best for last.
Whoa, be careful.
Whoa.
Yeah, be careful.
But,
Careful.
but I think you were testing me.
No, look, the very best products and the very best entrepreneurs are the ones worth arguing with, right? That's what's led to the creation of the greatest companies
Backpedaling
ever.
like the
It's
sucker
back
you
and
are.
forth. No, because that means we're both emotionally invested in.
So I think this is a really interesting point that he makes, and I just want to take a second to talk about it. So he says the very best products, very best entrepreneurs, very best companies are worth arguing about. And there have been a bunch of firms that looked back through like their portfolio and their performance over time. And what they found is that the deals where the people on the team, the VCs that are making the investment decisions, the ones where like they are arguing the most fiercely about whether or not they should do that deal end up being the best performing investments out there. And the ones where they all had like good consensus and they're like, yes, absolutely, let's all do this and rah, 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 those ended up being kind of like mediocre deals. Like they did okay, but not great. And the logic there is that the big opportunities, the ones that are going to ultimately be like the most successful, are controversial, right? They're non-obvious. If they were obvious, everyone would do them, and there would be a lot of competition, and because there would be a lot of competition, it would be really hard to ultimately build a very big, large, successful business. And so it's really, in some cases, and this is kind of a contrarian view, but like the deals that are the most combative internally, the least obvious, have the greatest potential to generate the biggest possible return. And so having conflict is not necessarily a bad thing in this case, particularly when you're trying to build something truly disruptive.
I'm torn. You're one of the greatest salespeople I've ever seen, but this is an idea that I think is looking backwards. Let's be honest, keys are going away.
Not today.
Not today, but here's
I
the
don't
thing.
agree.
I don't want a
Keys
better
aren't
mousetrap.
going
I want a
away
bear
yet.
trap that's going to be around 10, 15, 20 years. A big public company worth billions of dollars. These guys like that short-term, 2-year, 3-year cash
Junior,
flow.
kick his hiney back to the valley.
So look, here's the thing, man. Prove me wrong, make me pay 10 times more for it next year, but today, I'm out.
All right, so like he clearly has like a very different perspective, and there are funds that are like this, right? They look at this and they look at deals and they're like, look, if it's not $1 billion outcome for me, I'm just not going to get out of bed. And so there are a lot of deals that don't get funded because their realistic high-end potential is to sell for $100, $200, $300 million. And for a lot of VCs, that's just not big enough of an outcome to have an impact on their fund size and their returns. I mean, if you think about like 1 in every 10 deals or 1 in every 20 deals needs to return your fund, because the rest are going to be kind of a disaster and go out of business and so forth. And you have a $300 million fund, that means you need to own 30% of a $1 billion company in order to return your fund. So just because a company could sell for like $300 million doesn't really help you, right? Even if you own 50% of that, it only helps you return half your fund. And if that was the one deal that you needed to really drive performance in your fund, you kind of blew it. And so that's what it appears to be is kind of Chris Sacca's perspective is like, look, I do big tens of billions, hundreds of $1 billion deals, the Twitters, the Ubers, etc. I don't get out of bed for anything that doesn't have a super big outcome, and he doesn't see it in this business. And frankly, I don't disagree with him. Although, you look at companies like Nest, which isn't too far off, and they had a really big outcome. So I can understand his perspective and frankly kind of agree with it because I don't think the market on this is super big, but I've already kind of given my perspective. So let's see if he ends up taking Kevin and Barbara's deal.
That's sad to hear, Chris. Kevin, to have you as a partner, Barbara, to have a partner in the real estate industry, obviously would be a no-brainer. Here's what I would counter you. $250,000 for 10% and a $250,000 line of credit.
Can we step into the
Yeah,
hole?
yes.
I don't know if you caught exactly what he did here. So Kevin said, I'll give you $400,000 as a loan, which kind of implies like, I'm going to cut you a check right now, $400,000, and you're going to start paying interest on it. Which, if you can't put that $400,000 to work right away, that's really expensive interest to be paying. And what he did is he's like, okay, look, how about we bring you up a little bit, bring you up on the valuation a little bit from like a $900,000 valuation up to like a $2.25 million valuation. And let's change that $400,000 loan into a $250,000 line of credit that I can draw down as I need it and only pay interest on the cash that I'm borrowing, which frankly is a much, much smarter structure in order to make his business actually work. Now, maybe Kevin would have given him that deal anyways and run it as a line of credit, but the fact that he's really nailing it down, like this is a line of credit, I think is super savvy on his part.
Can we step into the hole?
Yeah, yes, if you'd like.
Okay, we'll do $200,000 for the 10%, $300,000 loan.
Bring it down a little bit.
Deal.
Good job, guys.
Good job, guys. Good job, Junior.
Barbara, my dear.
My dear.
My dear.
And I want to discuss it over dinner tonight.
Okay.
Man.
It's brutal in there, but
Love
I'm
it.
super thrilled about my partners. I'm ready to get to work.
You know, you make a good point. It's old tech, but there's a ton of old tech in real estate because it's so Sleepy Valley.
I've already
everybody.
seen
Not
the new
wrong.
tech.
Be sure to check out some of my other Shark Tank Reacts, because I'm going to be coming out with a bunch more of these, and I think there's some really fun things that you can learn from them.